think one of the questions I have with most organisations when we talk about talent is what's their definition of talent?
Yeah.
And I find it woolly at best in lots of organisations. It really means some potential people that have succeeded in previous jobs, or we want to hire some people that have got a bit of a track record. And I think one of the things we have to get better at is we have to get more granular when we're talking about talent, and articulate it a bit better. So I think there's something that I've seen in organisations that do this well, that spend a lot of time actually thinking about it. I mean, there's this great little story that someone told me once about, if you ask a chief exec, he's got 300 people on a plane, his whole leadership population, and the plane goes down and they're all killed, and somehow the chief exec survives. Who are the 10 people you'd bring back and why? And I tell you what, quite often the 10 people that are brought back aren't the people on the talent pipeline, aren't in the succession plan. Because what we tend to overlook is we see talent through a sort of a halo effect. It's about people that are great leaders or quite similar to the leaders we've had before. And I think it diminishes neurodiversity. I think we've got to look differently at talent. And so that's one thing I thought would be interested to say about talent, because I think that's a bit controversial. And the second thing is, I think we're obsessed about talent from an individual perspective. And the bit that I'm really interested in, and I think most organizations are really waking up to this, is about teams. People do most of their work in teams, whether that's a project team, whether it's a functional team, whether it's an operate, doesn't matter, but they work in teams, and sometimes they work in multiple teams. And I think HR spends too much time working at organizational level and at individual level. And if you go in, so what are you giving to your leaders and managers about how to develop a great team dynamics, the ability for people to collaborate and create value and be supportive? And there's not a lot there. So I think one of the things we need to do is stop thinking about everything around individuals and more about how do we actually get better at putting groups of people together so that they create high performing teams, because we know high performing teams are the key to radical performance improvement. So I think there's a couple of thoughts there. One is just be clear about what you mean by talent and why it fits with your strategy and how they're going to create value. And secondly, don't just think about individuals, but think about how you bring groups of people together, because talented teams is what we're really after. I'm not interested in having a high performing guy or a woman who's brilliant, but actually can't work with others, can't collaborate, can't create value. Anyhow, a couple of thoughts about talent, which most probably seem to get a reaction.
Yeah.